Hello. How are you all out there in Facebook land? G'day guys and girls and kids. Uncle Steelo's back on the TV. How are we all? Shout out if you're there watching. Again, I love seeing a thumbs up. It's not for me personally, but I do perform better if there's a crowd watching. Give us a thumbs up. It also helps beat the old Facebook algorithms that we fight constantly. G'day Dougie, how are you, mate? Good to see you on board. A few thumbs up from you there, mate. Thank you very much. We got a few. It's going to be a big, interesting show tonight. And Keith, what do you mean? Jared, how are you, mate? Heidi, hello. Hello, girls. Gary, g'day, mate. How are you? Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a... It's going to be... I'll forewarn you. Okay, what's the date? It is. Let's start from the top. It is the 25th of May, 2023. Mel, g'day, mate. So we've got a few things to discuss tonight. It's going to be a little bit of a rant about a few things that have been happening. So if you don't want to see a Steelo's rant, I suggest tune off now, go back to watching Neighbours, because that's where we're at. Craig, Brad, g'day. Glenn, Lucky, Jared. It's not April Fool's, mate, although it feels like it at the moment. So those that are watching at home, we will be having a proper Steelo's rant. This will be a Steelo's rant segment titled Steelo's Rant. And away we go. Number 3 kid, Kai. G'day, Kai. How you going, mate? Thanks for hanging out with Dad, watching Uncle Steelo. How old's Kai? Carl, I'll try and monitor my language a little bit. I said that last week and I dropped F-bombs left, right and centre. Brucey, g'day. Harold, g'day. Teen, how are you? Clinton. It is a lovely hat, isn't it, Teen? You like it? Mm-hmm. Neil, how are you? Locke. What am I wearing, Locke? This is a tinfoil hat, young fella. So this is a little bit below your... because you're a younger dude, not having a go, but you're a younger dude. So this is a tinfoil hat because there's a lot of stuff going on in our industry. And away we go. Ricky, g'day, mate. And the tinfoil hat protects me from things because it's just, there's so much stuff going on. It's all a bit crazy. Ash, g'day, mate. Grant. Jimmy, how are you, mate? Yeah, it might be a hold my beer segment. G'day, mate. Lukey, how are you? Dion. Yeah, so, look, if you're in my industry or you're watching around my industry or you're a follower of our industry, obviously we are firearms retailers. Craig, g'day, mate. All will be revealed. This is a specific Steelo's 2023 Thereafter the Gun Industry hat, just in case. Marty is alive. How are you, buddy? Good to have you on board. Troy, how are you, mate? So for those that are watching in the industry, and I didn't touch on it last week and I shouldn't have. So over the last many years, governments have been trying to implement their will on the people because we vote them to do that, right? We vote government in to... Hey, Stewie from Amsterdam, how you going, mate? Steve, g'day, mate. So governments have been trying to impose their will on the people, and this sounds all a very bit silly, but here we go. Impose their will on people for the last, 2009-ish, or earlier actually. There's been a concerted effort to remove firearms from the community and make firearms owners the big bad wolf of the community. So for a government to control the populace, we need to keep the people in fear, or it seems to be this commenced rant. Rant commenced. We need to control the people, and unfortunately, law-abiding firearms owners seem to be the butt of that control factor. We've been in business for 9 years now. Hand on heart, for those that don't know, I was a former law enforcement officer in WA, doing all sorts of wondrous things all over the state, with a background of doing some very nasty things as well. I have not seen an attack on a law-abiding industry as ours so prolific over the years, and so many hurdles that we've had to jump to do what is effectively a lawful activity on a population that has such a low gun rate in terms of crime gun rate at all ever. It's unprecedented. It wouldn't happen in the chemist industry, the medical industry, that's certainly the fucking car industry. It doesn't happen anywhere. So, tinfoil hat on, here we go. The little rants. Absolutely, Jackie, good to see you on board. Alex, how are you? So, this week we've had a couple of incidents, major incidences. And I'm going to call them a major incident, and an incident is all they are, because when you peel back the layers of what actually happened, it's not that big a deal. And I think there's some deeper-seated underlying issues to the first one I'm going to talk about. And unfortunately, we've seen the government jump on board and try and make this the pedestal of stance that they're going to stand on to push their ideology on of gun control on the world populace, which is WA, and shamefully so, right? Because I think there's some deeper seated issues on that. Now, earlier I said I was a law enforcement officer. I was involved with a group that used to do a lot of sieges, a lot of high-end, high-risk sieges. The police commissioners coming out. So, for those that aren't watching or watching from over east, if you're tuning in, this week a poor young fella, 15-year-old, dejected with the world, stole 2 guns, presumably from his old man. I'm hearing reports of grandfather, but I think the police have confirmed it is his old man. Stolen 2 guns from a locked cabinet somehow. We don't know how the cabinet was locked, but stolen from the gun cabinet and stole Dad's car, his four-wheel drive ute. This is important, four-wheel drive ute, think. Driven, Ward, 15 years old, no licence, driven down to school. Got to school, fired 3 rounds out of a 243. Police have been called. Not at anyone, just fired 3 rounds. Police have been called and reacted as the police do. When they've got there, 3 guns are in the car. And correct me if I'm wrong, anyone that's following along that knows more than the incident than me, I've been eagerly following and trying to pick it out, but 2 guns were located in the car and some rounds of ammunition for the gun. Old mate was arrested with that incident, taken away for questioning, guns seized, taken away for questioning as well. The naughty guns, see what you've done. And then we've had a media storm about this is Americanisms and it's an active shooter incident and yada, yada, yada. First of all, not an active shooter incident. It is a firearms incident. Shots were fired as a result. It is not an active shooter. Active shooter is when someone's walking around actually engaging people as they go. So not an active shooter. Yeah, right. Thanks, Matty. Yeah, there's 2 reports. One was that they're both in the car and when the police got there, and one was where he dropped it. But yeah, either way. He called the cops himself. There you go. So not an active shooter incident. Been to several sieges in my career, and a lot of these things are a cry out for help. So we've got a 15-year-old fella, confirmed he's not a student of that particular school yet, Catholic school, and it's well known that there's, well reported through the West Australian, obviously the pinnacle of reporting in WA, that the school system, there's rank bullying, there's, conflict resolution isn't at the paramount of the education department's psyche and how they deal with things. We certainly see that here, not having a crack at the education department, but this is an ongoing thing, right? There's a bit of a trend where they don't want to address these issues. So 15-year-old boy, ejected from school, comes to school to make a statement. Again, he hasn't shot anyone, hasn't shot at anyone that we know of that's been reported, because guaranteed that would have been fucking headlines if he had, right? So he's let 3 rounds go. Could have been suicidal. He's called the coppers, as someone said. If it was, coppers have come and got him. So if that's not a cry for help, I don't know what is. Why did he do that? Because he's fucking 15 and he's not thinking straight. That's why. Like a lot of people, unfortunately, not thinking straight. He's not like a grown adult like myself and anyone over the age of 18 that's watching, that's gainfully employed. You've got the power, you've got employment, you've got finances. You can go and go to a psychiatrist. You can book a thing with a doctor and drive there. So he's 15. Doesn't have any of those faculties. So unfortunately, he's done something very dumb at 15. I'm not condoning him saying that that's what he's done, but I have the utmost sympathy for the young fella and for his family as well, who are now dragged through the shit. Unfortunately, firearms owners, being the firearms owners that we are quick to jump on mum and dad as well. And where are the parents? And this is fucked and this is fucking terrible. Yeah, you don't think they feel fucking bad about what's happened? They've just been dragged in the fucking media as well. So, lots of little things happening. My point being is, how fucking shameful of the government to jump on this isolated incident and turn it into a political grandstand and say, so I've got a bit of hand start here from the minister, but say that this is an Americanism and it's the American culture, and this is why we need to reduce guns in the community, and this is why we need legislation, and legislation would have prevented it. We've got legislation now that says that you can't access a gun if you're not licensed to it. We've got this. It's the same legislation that says you can't fucking drive a car if you're not licensed, and you did that. It's absolutely fucking abhorrent that the government are quick to jump on this and call this their little baby and ignore the other issues. How is the mental health of this young fella? In all honesty, how's he fucking going? Because this is not good. How's his parents? It's fucking crazy. How's their mental health? You don't think they're going through a shit fight at the moment, and they're turning it into a political play to say there's too many guns in the community? We already have laws and legislation that says that this shit shouldn't happen. It doesn't matter. The laws don't happen. On top of that, we have police that are trained. G'day, guys. How are you? We've got police that are trained and they drill in these incidences. So this is not unusual. These incidents, I've been out of the job now for 9 years. These incidents, g'day, Guy. G'day, Brett. Lukey, how are you, mate? Shorty, how are you, mate? We have police. They train this sort of staff. The education department trains this sort of stuff with a whole lot of other things as well. And it's they're on point. The police response was correct and appropriate and quick at the time, and no one got hurt. Yeah, absolutely, Jack. And this is the problem. I'm gonna data enter because there's a lot going on in my head. We've been doing this for 2 days. So, he was in a full drive, and again, I've been listening to a heap of talkback radio, and everything's going. He was in a fucking unlicensed full drive, and there's no calls for banning unlicensed banning full drives or getting rid of full drives in the city, because we don't need full drives in the city. Yet there was one, he drove that, and that is completely being overlooked. Not saying that it needs to look. Hey, g'day, Mum. How you going, Lukey? G'day, Glenn, Jeff. Not saying that it needs to be overlooked, but on a scale of parity, we lose heaps more people in road deaths and road accidents every day of the fucking week. Now, this guy, 15, inexperienced driver, or he might have been experienced, either fucking way, right? Immaterial, unlicensed, stolen car, could have run over some people. He could have slipped his foot off the clutch and ran straight into the kindy at the school if they had a kindy, and we that's gone silent, radio silent. Instead, the government, Hansard, wants to belt up law-abiding gun owners, which haven't done a fucking thing wrong. The young fellas got it. Not to mention, I'm going to get there, fucking Brucey. That's why the hat's on Bustleton, brother. Don't worry. Not to mention the fact that, during all this, sorry, I got fucking sidetracked. I've read 100 comments. Thanks for writing in your comments too, fellas, and the thumbs up along the way. I'm like, holy shit. On top of all of the gun issue, the police response has been great. They drill it. There's units that drill it. The education department drill their lockdowns, which is, it's good they've done that. Where did I go with this? I've lost myself. Shit, I hate that. There's so many things going on. The legislation. Yeah, so legislation exists that already prevents this from happening, right? So we don't need more layers of legislation or confiscating guns. Coincidentally, the 2 firearms in the use weren't as part of the big banning that we've just recently seen. So again, political statements made by the government, we're going to keep you safe, and here's this big 50 cal rifle that we've had to purchase to demonstrate how in fear of your life you should be, and have this big gun in display in the public, and look at it, we're keeping you safe, we're going to ban that. You haven't done that either, champ. Like, this is stuff that's it's out there. They're too easily accessed firearms. Are they or are they not? I don't know. They were locked up. That's what the government wanted. That's what you wanted us to do. Lock them up in a place that's easily identified. That's what you wanted. Motor vehicle's more of a lethal weapon. Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's the problem. It's he could have killed somebody in the car driving down there. No one's talking about that. Clint, yep, mate, I agree. The education department, unfortunately, the people, and it's deeper seated, mate. I'm driving. Here I am driving to Perth today. Well, it's double folded. Schools will practice lockdown, and the police then practice active shooter over the top. It's a double-ended sword. And I checked myself today on the way to Perth because I didn't have my tinfoil hat on, so I did a little bit of internal examining. Unfortunately, 15 years old. I'm going to make some large assumptions here. Mum and Dad are probably working flat out trying to make their way. It's a society issue. We're demanding more from ourselves. Our kids are demanding more from parents. We're demanding more from each other in terms of possessions. We all want a fucking 4x2 or a 5x2. We all want a pool. We all want this. We all want that. Tammy, we are gearing off, mate. Get on board. You'll have to rewind it later. We want more and more, which means both parents are actively engaged, getting more and more, and we're letting our kids being grown up by, I can't believe I'm saying it, TikTok, YouTube. I mean, I'm fucking guilty of it as well. And here we go. We've got issues through schools with, conflict amongst kids, conflict resolutions not being met because it's not taught at home. And again, I'm fucking guilty of it. Me and the missus both work hard, long hours, not really putting any energy into the kids that we should. That has been done in the past. So here we go. The commissioner went on TV and said, this is the first incident. I've been on 2 incidences with school shootings in the past, northern suburbs. So it's nothing new. It's been happening for ages. On top of things like bomb threats that happen for kids getting attention, bomb threats are on the daily basis. You don't hear it reported in the news like this. It's not a US phenomenon. This is not an active shooter. We are not the US. We don't have US gun culture. It doesn't matter how much you say it in the media. It doesn't make that we do. It's fucking crazy. Brenny, Stephen, g'day, mate. Even someone sent me a little snippet of a news article. It's not a current one, right? So this is way back in 2018. And I don't think a lot's changed. I think the stats would be pretty similar. But, 2018, 50 knife incidences were reported by the Education Department. So 50 knife incidences. This is one firearms incident. So all the same stuff has been happening, will be happening. Nothing's happening. Yeah, that's right, Clint. Thanks, man. A schoolmate said he used to talk to the shooter, but he went quiet, so stop the friendship. Triggers missed, and it's a department failure. Mate, absolutely. And it's the same thing that we've preached, like we've been doing live while some active or some shooting incidents have happened in the US. Everyone's quick to blame the guns because it's easy and it's out there, but no one wants to blame the triggers or the underlying indicators or pre-attack indicators, as Steelo likes to call them. So, these things are happening. Why are they going to this extreme? You really need to sit down when all the adrenaline and all the finger pointing stopped. Why does a young bloke have to go and break into his old man's gun cabinet, take a gun to a school and fire a couple of shots to get some attention? I think that's what the government needs to be focused on. That's the question they need to be asking themselves, and the question you, at home viewers, need to be asking the government. Why the fuck is a 15-year-old young fella had to go to these extents to get help? It's appalling. And it's not the gun owners. That's a fucking bullshit argument. It's not cracking down on guns. That's a bullshit argument. It's not the Americanism of our culture. That also is a bullshit argument, because it's not. Why does a young fella have to feel that he needs to do this? It's a fucking valid question, and no one's asking it. Everyone's just going round and round and round and blaming guns and pushing it here and pushing it there. What caused this young fella to do that? The big question. And again, look, sympathies to his folks. I know you're not watching. Someone might know his parents. I really feel for you guys. Really tough time ahead. The young fella's got some pretty serious fucking criminal charges against him now. The parents probably do as well. And it's obviously not a place they want to be. So, as a parent of young kids who has firearms, obviously, they're going to know how to use these things and how to function and do whatever. I really feel for the parents. And again, for the gun community, fucking please give them some support. If you know these guys, fucking give them a hug and a cuddle, because they'll be going through fucking hell. It's every parent's worst nightmare that your kid traps off and does something. They'll also be going, why the fuck didn't we pick up the pre-attack indicators of this? They'll be going through some absolute shit as well. It's really fucking bad. Chris, coincidentally, New Zealand, mate, they've got a no policy. Like, they won't talk about people's names when they do these things, because it's a social media driven thing. And one of the things out of the guys in the States interviews is that they want that notoriety. They want the people to talk about it in the news. I don't necessarily know if this young fella's part of that, because there is the psyche of the guys that I've dealt with that quite often will shut down afterwards and full tears on the floor and full admissions like, this is fucked, I didn't know what to do, and I don't know how I've come to do this. They just do it. On top of that, what medications is he on? Is he on drugs? Is he on antidepressants? Much like the fella in unfortunate incident in Osmington, they found out old mate was on some pretty nasty antipsychotics, and it's all fucking stays quiet. So, they're the questions we need to be asking the media as well. Like, they want to turn this into a gun issue. What about medication? How was the young fella? How is his actual well-being before the incident? It's fucking terrible. Anyway, fast forward in today. So hence the tinfoil hat. Fast forward onto this morning. My good friends down at Busselton Firearms got rolled. I'm going to say Busselton Firearms. I'm not going to name the shop specifically, but guy brandishing what appeared to be a very realistic handgun. Held them at gunpoint, forced them to hand over a rifle. Kudos to the guys down there, the team down there. They handed in the wrong bullets for the gun. Sorry, they're probably going to have a disgruntled customer, but that's what you get. So, tinfoil hats. I don't need a chin strap for this one. It fits me well. Two gun incidences on the back of the WA Firearms Community Alliance launching full steam. So, rewind the clock back a little bit last week, not to take the good work away. A whole lot of guys that the WA Firearms groups that are WA centric joined forces together to have a little bit of, pushback to the government liaising and consulting, which we obviously all feel hasn't been. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a consultative group. Joined forces for the first time in history, actually, in anywhere in Australia. Join forces to push a message that we will all be consulted to equally. We're not going to be segregated off and little deals done behind back doors. So that was last Thursday. That was announced, and then within the week we've had 2 firearms incidents that we don't normally get. It's very, very rare to have these firearms incidents. So hence the. I'm going to go to sleep tonight with one eye open, waiting to see what's going to happen tomorrow. I might even camp in the shop here just in case, just to be sure. But again, for those that don't know or might not be aware, firearms owners, we're not protected by any law to protect our stuff. So, if I had a shop full of gold bullion, I could be armed to hold the gold in the shop. But, for the products that we have, there's nothing to protect us either. So it's a really shit. Has there been any word about the new group? Yes, there has been some word about the new group. Jump onto their Facebook page and follow along, Coopsy. There's been a meeting, I think, scheduled for next week. And there'll be some words on that. But it's really good. It's really good to get the peak WA bodies meshing, and see how we go, which is good. I'm just having a quick read. Sorry, guys. Dave, how are you? Why? Because the bloke in the tinfoil hat knows what's going on. That's why. Yeah. G'day, Bo's Mrs. Bo. Hope you're going well out there. So yeah, look, that's a bit of a Steelo's rant. Again, 2018, 50 knife incidents. I couldn't get the current time because I've been on the road all day and taken a million calls from blokes, making sure the boys down at Busselton are good and well and they're getting looked after, looking at a bit of industry stuff. But like I said, bit of a rant, obviously. Have a bit of think about some of it, and hopefully it resonates with you guys. If you've got young kids at home, have a bit of a discussion with them, obviously, as well. Is it going to be harder to get more guns? Well, that's what the current government wants to do, Tyson. They think that there's too many guns out there. They think that, we've got massive gun crime, which we don't. The industry obviously is calling for, and this sounds very vanilla, right? But when you break it down, it's very true. We are calling for more. Oh, Jesus, I've said the word 100 times today, and now it's gone. Fuck me. Doing a great job. Yeah, thanks, Greggy. We're trying to keep it on the straight and narrow. We are looking for more evidence-based. Thank you, God. Evidence-based. He struck me with lightning. So we're looking for more evidence-based regulations and legislation change. So it can't be emotive. This is an emotive scenario, for example. As soon as you start throwing out Americanisms and American school-based shootings, this ain't it. Fuck is the word I was looking for. Thanks. Evidence-based. Thanks, Dave. Evidence-based reform is what we're looking for. So when you actually start strategically looking at the crime rates of guns, it's fucking extremely low, almost non-existent. So, that's what we're looking at. Yeah, I know, Tony, there's a few blokes running these hats, and we're going to start something, I think, with these. It's very, very cool. So, evidence-based legislation and not emotive. And as soon as they start driving the language, to quote, here we go. Where are we? It's from Mr. Papali. This was an American gun culture right here in the Perth suburbs. It's nothing to do with an American gun culture. It was a young fella having a fucking moment in life. Get some composure. It's got nothing to do with the American gun culture, and it's almost like they want it. That we want to be like our big brother. We emulate him so much. We emulate him, and we want to be there, but we're not even fucking close. It's so far removed from a school-based American incident. It's not funny. So far removed. It's not funny. Yeah. Yeah, a rare and one-off event. Yeah, and it's a very rare event, but, one-off. There's, like I said earlier, Keith, I don't know if you caught it, mate. I'm pretty sure I've been to 2 actual shootings at schools. So it's not the one-off. But again, the media wants to blow it up. The police want to blow it up. Everyone wants to blow it up. Uncle Steelo was saying, there's some mental and emotional issues here, and I think that that needs to be what's looked at properly. Yeah, that's right, Paul. This is what happens when Parliament's run by one political party. And I'll rewind the clock. I'm happy rewinding the clock saying this was going to happen, and you need to vote for someone else because there's a whole lot of issues that's starting to affect the WA public. More so in the bush. There's a lot of bush issues that we're just not getting heard on. We're not getting a voice. We're getting steamrolled. So, jump on it. Government. Yeah, who's in there on behalf of firearms owners, Graham? Well, no one, because no one was voted in, mate. That's the problem. So, no opposition. So, next election, 2 years' time, keep that in mind and away we go. Yeah, exactly. He's the only... Well, and it's funny, right, Al? And that brings me to another point, He's the only police minister on the planet to be happy there was a firearms incident. They're very quick to throw gun owners under the bus, as always. They're very, very poor in commending their own people. It's like, oh, congratulations to the police of Western Australia. You should be not commending the police, but that's reassuring the people, reassuring the general public that that's what the police are there for. That's why you give them AR-15s, semi-auto 223s. That's why you give them ballistic vests and cars and vehicles and flash uniforms and all that sort of stuff. Like, that's what they do. They keep you safe. When things go bump in the night, they are there. And this is a prime example. Don't panic. Don't panic, good citizens of Western Australia. We have this under control. Not in the Kimberley or the Pilbara or the Gascoyne. That's all gone. Sorry, fellas up there, if you're watching. They don't. But, in WA, you think you'd be calming people. But this government doesn't want to calm people. They want to fucking keep people in fear and panic, which is not a good thing as a leader. You don't want to panic your people. So, another little thought from Steelo. Empower your people to do the right thing. Encourage them and reassure them that they're safe. And this was a prime example. The Education Department drills active shooter incidents. They went into lockdown, did what they did, which was great. They do that all the time. The police drill this at a command level, at desktop level. If there's an active shooter right now, what would you do? Go. And you sit down and coordinate a bit of shit and off you go. It's drilled, it's played out in the minds of people, it's played out in the coppers of people all the time, so it should be good. Yeah, Cole Blanche, hey, look, to his credit, he was very good in interview, Scotty. The police commissioner was very good and very level-headed. And away you go. The current petition, do you think there's hesitation because you need an NTA? Yeah, absolutely, man. Look, people have trust issues, for sure, especially the shooting community, Mark. There is an e-petition floating around. I think a lot of shooters are also under the realisation that it won't work. Petitions very, very rarely work, especially on this government. And it was demonstrated by the Recreational Fishing Alliance that had an absolute awesome petition in with 20 times the numbers of the gun community, and it fell on deaf ears. So, you can petition all you want. This government does not give a fuck. Some people are aware of that, and they're looking for the other strategy, the next strategy. They have a crazy... Yeah. Well, it's a funny thing, Coops, unfortunately, and I don't want to upset any military personnel that are watching, because I fucking love you boys, right? However, there's two streams of people that come out of the army. One absolutely love fucking guns, the other absolutely hates it. And it's a real polarising thing. This is what I've noticed in my lifetime. Unfortunately, this fella doesn't, or he's getting told that he shouldn't, and that's where we are. Politics and bullshit rule the state. They'll wipe their ass with it. Yeah, absolutely, it's crazy. So anyway, the hat stays on tonight because I don't know... Nah, he's one of your blokes' huts. That's what I heard. That's a little dig for anyone that knows. That's right. It's grand statements in the interest of public safety because, again, who doesn't want public safety, right? That's the problem, Dave. Everyone wants public safety, including us. Like, as an ex-copper, father of kids, community fucking guy all round, I would not be doing this if I thought it was unsafe or it was bad for community, or if there was issues with what we did in the legislation was shit, right? Like, and we as industry, we know what we're doing. We know the product that we sell. We know how it gets out there. We don't want our industry to come under the spotlight in a bad way. We don't want to do anything bad that's going to affect our industry, as in like our ability to future sell firearms, or we don't want to see people in our community getting hurt and injured. Like I said, this young fella, when all the dust settles, I genuinely have issues for him. Like he's a poor young fella, and he's gone through some shit. Like, what causes a kid to do that? It's not normal. He's not a fucking arsehole, although his actions will reflect badly on us. I think the overwhelming majority of people will see it as it is. Technically stolen his dad's firearms, stole his dad's cars. Oh shit, yeah, I'll have to jump back on that. There's fucking heap of ones. Exactly, Wayne. Mental health within the Defence Force. Yeah, Carl, because mental health's a tough one, hey? And the government knows that it's not an easy fix, mental health. As soon as you say there's mental health issues, that means fucking resourcing, right? So that means a lot of money, a lot of doctors, a lot of professionals or people with experience trying to do stuff, and it's fucking hard to reverse, right? You can't just take a pill and fix mental health issues. It's a long-term burn, and every government knows, or should know, or any person with a brain knows, that you can't just flick a switch and fix it overnight. So it's a very, very big, commitment. Yeah, Al, look, I think so too, man. That young bloke needs a bit of support, not smashing, unfortunately. Look, he's done dumb shit, and put your hand up if you haven't done dumb shit as a young fella. He's done a little bit more than most, right? Like most of us knew not to, but it's a bit fucking crazy, and I honestly feel sorry for him and his parents. Like I said, fuck, poor bastards. It's not something that they would have wanted. I'm sure. When you wake up in the morning, go, you know what, fuck, I want my young fella to steal a gun and crack a couple of rounds off in a school. That's great. But at the end of the day, no one got hurt. The young fella's still here. He can learn from his mistakes, hopefully, and carry on and be a productive member of society. Fuck, he might even be a prime minister one day. Who knows? You know, he's not. It's not something to wash him off. Yeah, look, I'm not going to speak badly of him in that sense. You know, again, I respect all the ex-service personnel that are out there, but I think a lot of the grandiose statements are definitely grandiose. We need to look past the grandiose statements and look at the real cause and effect of issues and where they are. You know, yep, that's right, Steve. The cry from help was missed, possibly his only option, and that's, in my experience, that's what I've seen a lot of, cries from help. You know, I've taken gunmen down from the centre of Perth, opposite Wellington Street, off a billboard one afternoon, you know, and it was a cry for help. But fucking, I don't know why I climbed a billboard. Like, I would have rang up someone, but, you know, adults are doing it around Perth, and it happens on the regular. It just doesn't always get reported, and unfortunately, we're in the middle of a gun cycle battle between politicians that are trying to keep you safe from the big bad wolf, which is my people, and my people going, hey, it's not that bad, let's go. You know, like, we're not doing anything wrong. There's already checks, controls, regulation in place. There's also already legislation that should prevent all of this. You know, what are we doing? So that's Steelo's rant for tonight. It's been a long one, you know, but yeah, look, as always, you know, like I always say, have this conversation amongst your mates, guys. Talk about it amongst the firearms community out there. Talk about it amongst the non-firearm community, you know. Yeah, absolutely, Brett. You know, like, a lot of rank and file coppers, mate, are law-abiding firearms owners. You know, I was one of them. Fuck, I quit and bought a gun shop. I don't get any more, you know, tight-knit with that. So, yeah, thanks, Wayne. It's not an easy fix. It's very different and very difficult to fit. And it's out there everywhere, man. Absolutely. But anyway, that's my rant for tonight. I don't want to tie you up away from your families and away from neighbours too much longer. I'm going to get back into it and do some work because I've got a ute to unload and some gear to do. But look, Uncle Steelo says, have this chat with your friends and family about mental health issues. This is a prime example of a young fellow's cry for help. It's not a gun issue. This is not America. This is not a active shooter incident. It's fucking far from it. It's a young fella that drove into a car park with a stolen fucking four-wheel drive ute and cracked a few rounds off in a cry for help. And if someone wants to correct me, I'm happy to hear from it. Like, happy. Give me a ring and say, nah, Steelo, you got it fucking completely wrong. I was at that school, and you know, fucking next week on live we'll talk about it. You know, absolutely. Shout out to my mates in Busso too. Good work, fellas. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. They'll be feeling shit as because someone walked out with a gun today, but you know, you can't do anything, boys. That's the way the legislation wanted us to be. The legislation and the legislators want us to be fucking powerless in our own shops, protecting the gear that is so fucking dangerous out there, and they don't want to look at acceptable methods to control and dissuade people from fucking robbing us during the day, which I also find absolutely disgraceful. So, you know, watch this space for a little bit more, but yeah, if anyone's in Busso over the next couple of days, give them a break tomorrow. Next couple of days, fucking jump back in Busso. If you're down Busso, Bunbury, the southwest, jump into the boys and say good day on Saturday and Monday when the day gets back and they're back on the feet. Buy a box of 22 rounds. Doesn't have to be anything major. Just call in. G'day, fellas. Thanks for looking after us. You know, a $10 purchase will keep them going and will lift their spirits for the week. And just tell them Uncle Steelo sent you. Absolutely. Oi, he's on. G'day, mate. How are you? Yeah, so look, like I said, just jump in their shop during the weekend. I take it you're open Saturday courts. I didn't even check your opening dates, but you know, jump in there on Saturday. Hopefully, say good day to the boys. Buy something nice and small from them if you want. You don't have to buy anything big. I mean, fuck, they'd love to see a brand new scope. I'm sure. I would love to see a brand new scope, but you know, jump in, buy something small, say good day. Don't fucking tie them up too much. Just a little nod of the head, in and out, and away you go. Anyway. That's my rant gone for the night. Thank you very much for tuning in and saying good day. Thanks for the thumbs up. And we'll see you next week for another tinfoil hat edition of fucking Steelo's rant. Now, we'll talk some guns next week and some scopes or something. I'll pull something out. I apologise. I wanted to talk 2 to 3s today, but we're too much in the rant. Anyway, thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See you.